Netherlands, Argentina. It took a while to get going, but when it did, my word, 4 goals, 13 yellow cards, or possibly more actually. I think we might have been up to
15 at least.
15 at the end. So an extraordinary free kick and the drama of the shootout.
It did take a while to get going. It was quite interesting tactically how Argentina just completely nullified the Dutch for probably, best part of an hour. Matched up the wing-backs, Dumfries just was anonymous. And then this great footballing nation of total football and some of the best players we've ever seen on this planet go 4-4-2 with 2 big guys up front. And Argentina just didn't know how to respond. And that's what got them back in the game. And Weghorst completely changed the face of this World Cup quarter-final, which I personally, I don't know about you guys, just did not see that coming.
Oh, bring on the Burnley.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Even despite the fact they went out, in a way, I think Van Gaal was vindicated because he was ridiculed for bringing 3 big lads to the World Cup, including Vincent Janssen. Today they came on, they changed the game, they scored their penalties, they did everything that was asked of them. And I feel gutted that Holland lost that because I thought, given what it took for them to come back, to then miss those first 2 penalties, disappointed.
The other side of the coin, though, is the fact that it took them till the 75th minute to have their first shot on target in the game.
First shot on target was actually Weghorst's goal. That was only the second shot in the entire game, 83rd minute.
83rd.
It was absurd.
Right.
But there's also, I think, a bit of Van Gaal in that. There is something slightly absurd about Van Gaal these days, and I think this was his match.
Okay. Well, a remarkable finish. And some of the early elements were pretty extraordinary as well, not least the goal with which Argentina took the lead. Molina scored it, but the pass was from Leo Messi, and if you didn't see it, neither did he.
Yeah, that was the great thing about that, the replay of Messi just completely looking in the other direction before he plays this incredible pass. And some boffin at the Athletic has already drawn up a sort of a predicted pass map of when Messi's running in from the right, where do his passes go? And almost exclusively they go left of centre. Whereas for this one, such an unusual ball, cliche maybe, but there are a few in the world that could do that. I think that's fair enough, really, for this pass.
Not only is he not looking, but there are, I think, at least 2 players between him and his intended target. So
there's also Ake next to him. He kind of shrugs off Ake twice before still looking to the left and then playing this ball in. I think before the start of the tournament, there were a couple of question marks about Blind's defending, but I'm not really sure he could do much there when Molina runs across him and he ends up the wrong side and no one sees the pass. And I think it was just a bewildering piece of play.
You can't watch a goal like that and say that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Blind's fault.
Yeah.
Come on, what are you doing, man? We all saw it coming.
So that was them taking a 1-0 lead, and they doubled up afterwards with the penalty.
The egg wins the penalty. As I said, hard-working left winger. He worked and worked and worked. Finally took a turn against Dumfries, and I think this was actually a function of the change in formation for the Dutch, because by that stage they were 4 at the back. So Dumfries had to come back on his own. There was no one really covering him. And also, he's running up and down. So I think Acuna took a very good advantage of that to win the penalty. Definitely a foul. And at that moment, when Messi takes that pen, I think we see that Noppert, when it comes to penalties, shows his inexperience at the highest level, because I think he's a little bit overawed.
Anyway, that's now Argentina 2-0 up and cruising. What begins to turn things around for the Dutch?
Well, they stuck the 2 big guys on, De Jong and Weghorst, but they weren't actually putting any crosses into the box. I was sort of waiting for it, really, because they're going 4-4-2. It's pretty obvious what they were trying to do. And then finally, the one decent ball that they swing in, Weghorst gets a flick on at the near post. And then the whole this game of ours, the whole momentum just changes. Argentina looks scared. There's an extra zip in everything that Holland are doing.
Right.
They'd offered precious little before that.
What was another of the turning points then? The moment when Paredes fouls Aki, and then afterwards stares at the Dutch bench and hoofs the ball as hard as possible at them, which sparks a pitch invasion by about 10 orange-clad players, and players are falling over. I mean, it's a proper brawl. And after that, I think there is an extra bite to everything that the Netherlands do.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not a fan of wrestling in any way, shape or form, but surely someone's got to take that Van Dijk push and stick some of that WWE commentary over the top of it. It's completely unnecessary.
So for all of that, the Netherlands are still losing 2-1. The referee, in part because of that brawl, has added on 10 extra minutes. and we've all but played them, Sash, when a free kick is awarded on the edge of the area. And this is, the most extraordinary part of the entire evening.
It is for us who hadn't seen Wolfsburg from 2 years ago, but let's get onto that next. I'm looking at this, and they're big lads in the box. Surely, don't shoot, just chip it in. And he rolls it along the floor.
Right.
To the bloke next to the wall who takes a beautiful touch and tucks it past the goalkeeper. And it's Weghorst. And he's done it before. But I think here in the Athletic, people watching the game's getting late, we have to talk about it afterwards. Maybe not so keen on extra time. When that goal went in, there were arms, legs, people running around. I snapped my ruler, and it was it's quite the madness.
It's one of the iconic moments of the whole tournament for me. They'd had a free kick in a similar position a few minutes earlier. Mm-hmm. So to hold your nerve and wait and wait for 10 minutes to stop it, yeah, okay, we'll do this now, lads.
And they know this is the last play of the game.
Yeah.
Where do you think the idea came from? Because, Sash, you're referencing the fact that footage quickly circulated of Weghorst scoring in a pretty identical fashion a free kick for Wolfsburg 2 years ago. Was it Vogt who went in there and said, lads, it's the last kick of the game, I've got a plan?
Wout calling the play would be something, and I hope it was.
But also, great faith. I wasn't actually aware of that Wolfsburg free kick before we came on air, but I just thought it was great faith in him. Because you'd think they'd probably want to roll it to Cody Gakpo, maybe. But
yeah.
Sasha.
I think for me, in terms of an unusual free kick, this is now up there. I know Zanetti, I think, did it against England, but for me, it's up there with Brolin against Romania in 94, where he peels off the wall. I know it's a different type, but in terms of inventive free kick with the wall and, what do you do against it? I think it's up there for me now.
All right. Well, that took us to extra time, which got increasingly fraught, and there were dramatic moments, but the key bit is we got to penalties. And they went better for the Argentina side than they did for the Dutch. Yeah,
easy to say in hindsight, but it did feel like the Dutch had taken a few penalty takers off. And Martinez has got a good record. It did feel like that would happen, but it's easy to say in hindsight.
There is a statistic that Argentina are, I believe, the second best at penalties at World Cups.
5 wins now.
And the Netherlands are the second worst at penalties. The only nation with an inferior record in such tests are, of course, Spain. Hello there. If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to this channel? And if you'd like more Totally Football Show content, then just search for us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Not an Athletic subscriber yet? Then just head to theathletic.com/totally to find out our latest entry offer.